Hello everyone and welcome to today's TRUMPF webinar on TruTops Boost and the easy and smooth programming workflow through the system. So we start by the overview of the product. TruTops Boost is basically, to sum it up, it's the Boost technology plus the new operating philosophy. As you can see on that graph, the orange level is the Boost technology. Boost technology contains all the automatic calculations and all the whole new architecture behind the product. And the new operating philosophy means that we have divided the software into two levels. The first level is called HomeZone. It's basically our control level and our order management. And you get with one click to your in-C program. Very prominent is our Boost button. The Boost button starts the automatic calculations within bend, laser, and punch programming. Our second level is the so-called TecZone. It's the interactive processing level. It contains all the technologies such as bend, laser, and punching, and of course the nesting. But more to that, it even contains a 2D and a full 3D CAD tool with, of course, the unfolding feature. At the beginning and the end, there's always the order, and the end would be the generation of the in-C program of the corresponding technology. So for the workflow in 5 easy steps, you see that graph. First of all, we need to import files. Those can be any 2D or 3D geometry. There's a very huge list of supported formats, which I will show you later on. Out of every part, out of every geometry, the software generates an order, and you set your attributes for the order, such as quantity, customer details, and of course material assignment. Well, this third step would be within the programming workflow would be the validation of the geometry. Validation means that of course the geometry is checked for sheet metal rules, and it's also prepared for sheet metal according to sheet metal rules. But not only that, even the unfolding is created automatically. You see the bending, design, and cut icons there in orange, and orange means in that workflow that the automatic calculation will take place. So our fourth programming step would be done simultaneously, and TruTops Boost calculates the bending program automatically. It even generates automatically the in-C and the setup plan, and we are able to program our nesting and technology of cutting simultaneously, meaning that we generate the whole sheet layout and process according to the selected machine. Might be a laser, punching, or punch combination machine. And of course, last programming step would be the transfer of the generated NC to the machine. So right now I will switch to the application itself and show you the basic workflow I mentioned. What you see here is the user interface of the HomeZone. At the left side, we are right now in the category order, and there are some more like nesting, part, or material and machine configuration. So on the left bottom side, you see some filters, which I will mention later on. In the center part, you see the order list, which basically contains all the orders in the system, and on the right side, a detailed view of each selected order. So we're going to import some files, 2D and 3D files. Of course, you can check them in the right panel window if they're supported for previewing. Some L brackets, you can even turn them. And here's the list I mentioned before. So quite a few direct formats. Basically, those are all major CAD formats which are available on the market. So as you can see, it's there is IGES, JT, Open, 3D PDF, ProE, Solid Edge, SolidWorks, and so on. And I just select all the parts in my window and import them. The good thing about the HomeZone is we have implemented the so-called status concept, and you always, at any point of time, you always keep track of your selected part, order, or even your nested layouts. And with one glance, you see what's the next programming step. So, for example, if your design is correct and your part is completed, the next step would be generation of the nesting. And here on the left side, the explanation basically of your icons, statuses. So if you want to select all your missing sheet layout, you just click once on the missing icon and then everything will be selected accordingly. And the benefit for that is that you, as I said, always see the next task. What we do for all orders is we set the finish date of the order, let's say 1 week later, and we set our customer and we save that information for all the imported orders. So we treat 2D and 3D files in a different manner. Let's say I'll just hit part quantity 7 for those 4 parts, and I just deselect the bending program and we boost those 4 files. So material and raw material, because those files were geos, they're saved as a property of the geo, and you see they're automatically assigned to our geometry. Then for the other geos, which I have imported, I'll do the same. I'll deselect the bending program and boost the selected programs, selected geometries, and you can see here if there's any error, it might be a geometry problem or a problem like here, there's no material assigned. I can also select all those files and select my material and even the raw material, let's say 1 millimeter, and there's no tool list for the unfolding, and I boost those 3 geometries again. So we handle 3D parts a little different, and there is no way to read out the material information, so we have to set it manually. And of course, the raw material, the thickness, sheet thickness is recognized out of the file, CAD file. And we have to select the unfold tool list. So it might be for a certain TruBend series with different tool lists, but I just select all tools. And the favorite bending machine, as we can check it in the bend settings, it's a TruBend 5230. So as I have assigned the material information, tool lists, and my bending machine, I also boost those files. And you see they start calculating and being processed automatically by the system, and we just leave it, and we will proceed with our, let's say, laser program and I just select all the files I have imported and create a nesting. So as you might remember, I have assigned different sheet thicknesses to my geometries. And of course, we need one material and one thickness. So TruTops Boost help you to make no mistakes. And as you can see, if I import 2D files with different thicknesses, TruTops Boost warns you. And that's a very good thing with the software. You never make mistakes. You always are able to correct yourself and basically to eliminate all the errors which appear. So even I have made a mistake, or I want deliberately those geometries within my 1 mm nesting. So it's on you to decide what you want to do with your file. Alright, I'll just decide that I have made a mistake and just select all and remove them. Now I've got only 3 parts, and I can still change my quantity, and let's say we hit 5, 15 and 5. And another good thing about the status, even within nesting, you see that there's an underproduction, meaning that there's no layout yet, sheet layout. So this symbol is the icon is there. Next step would be a selection of my cutting machine and of course my laser technology table. So if you want to set a certain table as a favorite, you just hit the star, and last step would be selection of my raw sheet. I select the small sheet format and hit again the boost button. The sheet program is being calculated by cut, meaning that the layout is generated, technology is applied with the according laser technology table, and DNC is being generated. And we do see a preview, and you see the scrap in percentage, the cutting time of the machine, and of course production package is generated. And as you can see, there's a second sheet with a few parts. I can open it anytime and can delete that second sheet. And of course, you see again under production with one glance what's going on here. So what you see here is the new cut application, and we have integrated nesting, laser processing, and punching processing, and of course punching laser processing into one application. And depending on the machine you select, you get your right features and functions within the application. You see the beautiful designed ribbon concept. There's no function navigator with tedious workflow of selecting the function feature, go over to your desired geometry object, and then type in some values. It's much more intuitive. We have created a new concept. So, for example, we've introduced the right click. If you want to invert the processing, if you want to delete the processing, or get some information about your property of the geo file, of the file, you can easily access it with the right mouse button with one click. And of course, you can change everything concerning your sheet layout. You can move parts, you can delete parts, you can add new parts from your part scroll out above there. And of course, so many new features you can turn the part, and of course you get some warnings, and it's, like I said, very intuitive and just nice to operating with. And open contours. Of course, if you want to change any, let's say we displace the approaching is just 2 clicks, 2 mouse clicks, and that's it. So, but not only that we have improved the user experience, we have even introduced new nesting algorithms, and that's it. That's really money saving. And that new algorithm even allows you to nest in a more efficient way. So I'll just close that sheet, and I would like to show you the punch part, and for that I just select those 4 parts, create a new nesting. So what we do is we select again our machine. I would like to select TrueMatic 6000 and also select the raw sheet format, and technology table is selected automatically because it was set as a favorite, and I hit the boost button again. So now what the program does is it applies the pre-selected tool list, which was defined initially, and then of course the optimizer is being carried out, and then the NC file is also being generated. So if there are any warnings, if there are any mistakes, you get also warned even within the TecZone already. So in that example, some part or scrap might become free unplanned. So we open it within the TecZone again to check it, and I just like to show you some punch-related features. So as you can see here, we see the first sheet and of course the punching and laser area, and we can just switch off the positioning lines. So as I said before, even punching got much more intuitive, and we can just reposition our clamps. And what we also can do, for example, if I click on a punching line, you get those arrows, and it's very easy to define the overlapping area of your punch tool path. And again, here it's quite easy to rotate tools simultaneously, set tool parameters, and invert processing, delete processing, and so on. So again, you access many of your informations very fast and easy. For example, if you just hit on the tool icon here and select a certain processing type, you get the right tool selected and can, for example, create a new processing on another area. So what I'd like to do in the next step is simulating the processing, and that you just see how it. So very nicely, of course, you can, as you know it from TruTops Punch, you can sort your tools, and so they're sorted by tools. And for example, if I just make it slower, you see that the laser path is applied. And again, laser processing, punching, and again, laser processing. So again, as I said before, very similar to laser, we have integrated a lot of functions which makes the day easier, and it's really fun to work with new TruTops Boost and programming the punching, laser, and bending programs. So that should be enough for the cutting part. So in the next step, we'll check our 3D parts and see what happened to them. Those two parts, so the back plate and the engine bracket, they are ready to go. The bend program was calculated and ready to being released. So I select both parts orders and release the bending program. So right now the NC is copied to the machine transfer folder and we are good to go. Other parts have got problems, and for example the unfolding is incomplete, and again you see the next programming step would be opening the part and create the unfolding. For that I open the part within our TecZone design and we just check what the problem here is, and actually I can see it straight away. There are some forms and we are of course warned that the part is not unfoldable. So what do I do with 3D forms? As I mentioned before, we have integrated a full 3D CAD system here. Our design program, it's a direct modeler, and you can change anything on your 3D geometry. And that's a good thing because once you have unfoldable parts, you don't have to send them back to your customer, wait for another day or two, and then proceed with your programming job. You can now do it yourself and basically communicate with the customer and repair the files. So we have integrated semi-automated identification of forms. For that, I just hit the identify button, then forms, and here I can even ignore cutouts, and I see that 8 forms were detected. I just hit the check mark to complete, and as you can see, those forms are now being recognized as features, and if I validate my geometry, the unfold is being created in the background, and once I open my unfolding, I can switch over to layers and switch on the layer of forms, and then you nicely see the form itself. It's just a contour, it's not a hole, and as I said, it's a layer. What you can do with that, we can create a drawing sheet for that, and for example, print it for the fabrication production, and they can see that you can fully dimension your drawing sheet and can even see where the form should be inserted. Well, I close the part and check another part for bending. Well, for the next part, the L bracket, we can also see what's the situation there, and basically it's very similar. We can check how many volumes we have. It's one volume, and again we identify the forms and detect them. It can proceed now to the bending program. So you've got an open task on the left bottom side, and anytime you see the calculating of bending programs, it means that the part was unfoldable and you can proceed with the technology. So right now if I hit the button, the bending program is being started, the calculation is being started, so the optimum bending sequence is calculated, then of course the tooling plan, the back edge finger strategies, and if you want you can switch it on. The NC could be generated here as well. And again, if you change anything here, there's a collision panel, there's a property panel of your program, and any collision, any warning will be shown there, and there are even some proposals on how to solve the problem. So we do have some warnings, and for example, the press force is a little too high for the selected tools. The warnings you can switch off, but of course not collisions. Collisions you can also switch off, but it wouldn't be good without solving them. So what we can do, we go over to the side view and see how our forms are being recognized. So a simulation preview in 3D. And of course you can just hit one button and it will be simulated in realistic speed, and we can check everything. So we just close the part, and as the last example I'd like to show you how we do handle assemblies and what your benefit is, what your main benefit with assemblies is. I just delete the order because for assemblies, of course, I need to order my single parts, and we switch over to single part, and of course we are always warned whether the part is an assembly or not, and we can open it again within the design. And the good thing about our assembly feature is that we can identify the sheet metal parts with just 2 clicks. So we activate the function, hit identifying of sheet metal part, again another one, that's also sheet metal part, and that's obviously not a sheet metal part because you see that the thickness differs, and we just don't hit the button. And at the last step we would dissolve the assembly, and that's a great thing. Once you import an assembly, you're able to dissolve it in all its corresponding single parts. You just close the assembly, and what you see here within the home zone, the parts are immediately being validated and unfolded. So for the next step, you see even the material was assigned already because the assembly had that information. It was a CDoc. Otherwise, if it's a step file, there would be again a problem. But once you create orders out of that, you can assign a material, for example, a different material, and again boost your files. And again, they are unfolded, and you can proceed to your bending programs. For that, you just select your favorite machine and again hit the boost button. So what we've seen in that webinar is, if I activate again all my parts, we have calculated, I think, 4 3D parts. We have calculated 2D parts for laser and punching laser technology, and we have even dissolved one assembly within its all single parts. And again, you can see that there are processed already technologies generated, and we can release the programs into the machine folder as our last step.